Hello, I'm Dr. Goodson, but if you're watching this, you can call me Lynn. This is week 1 of 2025, and I just wanted to say welcome to my YouTube channel. That's right. I decided a couple years ago that I thought I would want to start a YouTube channel. And I picked out a name then, Midlife No Crisis, because I was 60 years old and thinking that I've really led a blessed life. I was so thankful, and that I didn't feel like I had had much real crisis in my life, as I had observed in some of my friends, to be honest. And so at that time, honestly, let me back up a little. Go back to 2020. I think everybody was having quite a bit of crisis in their life around the world, etc. And at that time was when I had decided basically to give up TV. Like, I had to stop watching TV because it was just too much for me. It got to be depressing or just violent almost, seeing the daily news on the TV. And I found the YouTube. So when I found the YouTube, I got really interested in gardening and decided that, I wanted to try my hand at gardening. I see quite a bit of glare on these glasses. I think I'll take them off because I'm not reading anything, trying to play this off if I can. We'll see. I am what I am, right? But nonetheless, when I found the YouTube, I fell in love with gardening. I'd gardened all my life, I thought. What I later realized is that while my mom and dad had always had a garden and I had helped in the garden, I was really just doing what I was told to do, and I didn't know how to garden. So that first season, let's see, this is 25, so last year was 24. It would have been the spring of 23 is when I decided I was going to try really to garden. And I was a school teacher at the time and hooked on YouTube gardening videos and YouTube homesteading and that type of thing. But I had decided that I would, over spring break, try to set up some raised beds. And one of my sons helped me. We got some raised beds growing, and just found local seeds, etc. Started a few seeds, and it was quite comical when I look back at it, because if we had had to survive on the food we were able to grow that first season, we would have starved to death. I'm sure any true farmer or gardener could get a big kick out of it, but our timing was completely off. I think that was the biggest issue. Spring break, is around the first week of April. We were just starting to try to build and set up our own raised beds the first week of April. So of course, it was way off. It was way off, but it was fun, and I was still hooked on it. I was not, I didn't change my mind because of the lack of success there. I just kind of felt like we should be able to figure it out. So as we proceeded from there last season, I felt like I really had a handle on it. I was going to have this fantastic gardening, and I think that I could have, but at some point I did have a little bit of a crisis. I've never really been short hair, but what had happened was that at the end of May, when school was out, I was very unexpectedly diagnosed with lymphoma. And so I spent from the end of May to the end of September. Yeah, the end of September. So that's all of June, July, August, September, 4 months on a pretty rigid chemo schedule. My chemo required hospitalization because the bags of chemo were 24 hours a day, etc. And so it's on a schedule of 7 days in hospital, 14 days out, 7 days in hospital, 14 out, 7 in hospital, 14 out, for those 4 months. And so we reached the end of that, the end of September, which was my 6th round. And we're taking a break from that now, going through some PET scans and getting results and hoping that, that'll be resolved. So that's why I was previously bald and now have this much hair, and I'm very happy for it. but that's kind of the schedule that I've been on, and right now taking a break from chemo, growing hair. Look at that. So if I use some clips that I previously had recorded and I have long hair, you'll know that that's still the same person. But I'll let you know when that is. So just letting you know that I'm going to be getting my YouTube channel started. I'll take a walk around, kind of show you what I have with regard to my gardening. That's primarily what I'm interested in. And we'll go from there. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on out here in the garden. I'm going to turn my camera around so I can show you. Okay, I'm coming outside to give you a little peek at my very first outside garden. I call it the kitchen garden. This is the one that my son helped me set up in the spring of 23. You can see at the gate here as we go in, we have put a cattle panel for our arbor. And this past season we had like a cherry tomato and a black-eyed Susan vine. Had a really pretty purple, blue morning glory. It was a very pretty arbor this past season. So I'm going to come in here and show you what we have. So down the left here, this is just kind of I'm going to call it a hospital garden. When I get things that people give to me or I want to move somewhere, I'm not quite ready, I kind of toss it over in this area and just use mulch and keep it watered, etc. It looks like for the winter here, the clover's pretty much taken over, although I see some different kind of plants. Not sure if that's kind of looks like a strawberry leaf or a hellebore, actually. Yeah, I think that's some kind of hellebore in there. That's good. So on days when I'm working outside and I want to move things around, here's another hellebore. And another one that was from my friend Peggy. I was in the hospital and my daughter went over and picked up a few from her. So this is exciting. I was afraid that they had let them all die since I wasn't here to take care of them this past season very well. So I'm excited to see there's some things growing in here that I like. I think that's just a woods violet. I get excited and want to get out here and work now. This is where I did have my bunnies, but I don't have any bunnies anymore. So here we have on each side here, this used to be really pretty. I had a variegated liriope at the back. I did see the same on this side, but I did have this nice lamb's ear on both sides. On the left it died out, and then a clover at the front. So here I still have liriope and clover, and a little bit of trash that needs to be picked up. On this side, liriope, lamb's ear, and clover. Next to the fence line going back. And excuse my mess. I mean, this is just wintertime mess. There's a tablecloth that's blown off the porch. It's been a rainy morning, so everything's wet out here. Here are some iris from my older flower bed that got put back here. Lemongrass in the corner. I love having lemongrass. And this year I left half out here and mulched it pretty high. Looks like it does actually have a little bit of life still in it, surprisingly. And the other half I put in a pot, and I'll show you inside later where I'm overwintering things I thought I'd give a try. This is all lemon balm behind this bench, pretty high up, lots of seeds on it probably, but we'll get that all cut back and the trash picked up out of it before the season. Just while I'm on this end, I'll give you a peek of my backyard. Look at all those piles of mulch. I had big plans before I got sick to have a deep mulch in-ground garden in the back, and I would still love to do that. I just was not able to make any progress on that this year. In front of the grill, there's some more iris. And let's come over here and count these beds. So this is what we call the first bed, bed number 1, bed number 2, bed number 3 against the fence. It's kind of L's into what's bed number 4 here across the front. We do live on a highway, so you're seeing lots of traffic there. It's like we want to live like country, but be in the highway, and that's the way we are. Originally, these beds, again, my son helped me stack these blocks in spring break of 23. So they're 2 blocks high, and they're all approximately, let's say, 3 foot 3 to 3.5 feet wide, and about 15 feet long. So this first bed here, this past year, we've got our society garlic. Now it's probably its second season out here inside the blocks. Very pretty as a flower, but I do believe it's an ornamental. I had some daylilies that have died back right here, some more iris, because I just always loved flowers. And the vegetable part is relatively new to me. See that I've got some volunteers here. Looks like garlic. I've not planted my garlic yet this year, so I will assume those are just popping up from last year. Got some down there too. Oh, I'm excited. This bed has already been winterized, reset, whatever you want to call it. So whatever we did have growing this past year, we came out and cut off, left the roots in the soil to try to have the best soil health. You see I've got some totes sitting around to catch rainwater, so that when I do have plants, I do like to water them with some rainwater, but I also have the drip irrigation system that earlier this past year, because I was having trouble. I just wasn't able to come out at all, to be honest with you. And then in the walkway, I've got some iris on both sides. They are very shallow rooted, don't need to take much. I'm just trying to keep what I can. I usually find them for free around the property because before my little construction project I may have talked about, for my 60th birthday, I had a construction project to get a new facelift on the front of my house, but it had its own issues and ended up taking out my flower bed by accident. All right, bed number 2. These are Munstead, if that's the way you say it, lavender. And they have a dead-ish look, but they still appear to be living. Supposedly lavender doesn't take a lot of water, so I was trying to see how well they would survive inside the blocks, because I don't get a lot of water there. And when we reset this bed, when I say reset, again, cutting off the plants that were in there, leaving the roots for soil health. If there were any perennials, we would replant them, but we put a layer of shredded paper and bunny poo, because I had bunnies at the time, a lot of leaves, some of the mulch, and I think I did put some compost on top. I was trying to remember if we actually had some compost on top. And this particular bed I replanted to have try a cover crop of red clover. Last year I had planted red clover in my backyard and absolutely loved it. So I had some more of that seed left over, and I tossed it in just to see if it would help the soil health here. On this bed, we've got rosemary in the corner. Looks like it's surviving well over the winter. Don't know if I should cut that back and get it to branch some more. I'll have to think about that. Inside the blocks, I have another variety of lavender. This actually looks healthier than the Munstead. I believe this is a true lavender, is what it was called. Died back here in the middle. These were bee balmed. So got another lavender stuck in here. I don't remember what was here, but it's all died back and gone. A little bit of lamb's ear. These blocks were just filled with dirt for the first time this year, or I lied. It was actually filled with mulch. You saw how much piles and piles of free mulch that I have. I got some from Chip Drop, and then our local utility company, Duke Power, was coming through and trimming trees, and I asked them about getting free mulch as well. So that's where all the mulch came from. This is sage here. It appears to be living so far. Again, this is just the first week in January, so we'll see if we can make it through January and February. We'll be in the clear. This is Greek oregano, and it has done well. One of the very few things that has done well from the very beginning. I harvested a whole clothes basket full of oregano at one time earlier. See, that would be spring of 24. It didn't bounce back like I thought it would. Like I cut it back at that time. It certainly was severely neglected all summer, but I was thinking it would be more. It's like everything else that had been in here has completely died back. We'll see what comes back. It's a little bit of Russian tarragon here. Don't know if it'll do well. A odd little what is that, red Russian kale. See if I can hold my phone to see here and here. Those are little avocados where I had just chunked seeds out here. They sprouted completely on their own. But the rest of the bed, rain barrels sitting around. It's like some kind of little cabbage and a variegated sage. So I definitely don't have anything because I did not do any planting for the winter. This is just carryover. Again, did not tear down the tomato vines or anything. Left everything for the critters. And that's about it. So, no, inside this block I see something growing. It says thyme. So I don't know, is that thyme or is that a weed? I think it's thyme. We'll find out as we get closer to things growing again this year. So I'm going to go out the kitchen garden. Again, this was our only workable space when our house was going through some construction modifications and then ended up taking a whole lot more time. You see, I still don't have a real driveway. Got dirt, mud, and water that doesn't drain appropriately. This little island here in the middle, we call it our orchard area. We have one plum tree right there, that biggest tree that you see right there. That is the only tree that survived the construction mishap when they accidentally dug up and dumped all my flower stuff in the wrong place. And we'll go over the orchard at a different time, but this whole section out here has just a little variety of peaches and plums and figs and cannas. I've got one blackberry bush up there. But this is kind of our orchard area. If you look down there between the oak trees, I don't want to step in the mud by not looking at you. That's my older flower garden. So I've got miscellaneous flower stuff there, nothing to write home about. And of course it's so dead right now, not a lot to look at. Across the front of the house here, we had between the steps to the right corner of the house, we had planted last in beans. And so there's lots of dead bean leftovers you might see there. Our intention is just to run the lawnmower over it before we get ready to plant some potatoes. We last year tried potatoes followed by beans and did pretty good. And then it's edged with strawberries. I don't know if you can see that. We have not been maintaining the strawberries. We've just been letting them do their own thing. So we're just happy with whatever we get out of them. On this end, from the steps all the way to the gate at the other end, we had in the spring last year planted potatoes again all the way down, and our intention was to follow it with corn and beans, not really for the intention of having the corn, but just as an experiment to use it as a decoration, so that by October-ish would it be dyed back and to be a cute decoration. So that was an experiment that my daughter-in-law wanted to try, and I had been sick and in the hospital, and so we were just doing whatever we wanted to see any kind of life anywhere. This is the next garden. So my other son helped me set this garden up. We call it the pool hill garden because here's our garden and this is a hill. Here's our pool and this is the hill. That's why we call it the pool hill garden. Looks like I have 4 raised beds, and each one of those has the cattle panel arbor over it, and it did super this year, really. Each one had a tomato. We tried, so you see all the leftover dead here from the tomato. The tomatoes did really good. Each bed had a couple of peppers. In the beginning of the season had cucumbers. Then the cucumbers played out, and we put a couple of peppers in each one. They were all basically the same except for, let's see, this one here that has so much dead on it. That was red Malabar spinach. It was so happy here. And we got bags and bags of spinach that we froze. Okay. The fence up here I see, forgetting I do have a couple of grapevines. I've got one here on the fence, one there on the fence. They did not do anything this year. It's their first year over here. And then in this first or last bed here on the corner, we had sweet potatoes. We did have tomato. And I think we had a little bit of Malabar spinach on this one too. So we have a lot of cleanup to do for the winter. So let me take you down and show you what else we have. Okay, this bed is at the back. You see that we fenced it in. This is the back of the house. And we call this the elephant ear garden because along the fence here all the way down is these beautiful elephant ears that actually grow all the way up to the second deck. And these are, again, are the piles of mulch that you saw when I was looking down into the backyard from the kitchen garden. So this is a relatively new first year space. The elephant ears have been here forever. That's why they get so huge. And then we have a walk path down the middle. Don't know if you can tell by the elevation that then this is up and then down toward this fence. Looks like everything's dead except whatever this is. So this has to be a native. I'll use my plant identifier to see what it says it is and whether or not it's something we want to keep. But we did plant different tomato varieties, like see these little tiny ones. I think that was Tessa's land race something. But we had different variety of tomatoes all along this fence line this year. And then on the Humpty Hump, last spring, I had planted my greens back here because this is the north side of our house, so it's kind of cool for cool weather crops. And it looks like I have quite a few things that are like trying to volunteer on their own. Not sure what all they are. This to me looks like a tot soy. This looks like some type of a kale. That also, oh, that's a mustard. That's a red mustard. But I could get out here and find some tags and see what it is. Isn't that sweet that those are all volunteer, because I have not planted anything back here since probably May or June. Once I got sick, it was a lost cause. Nothing else happened. But it's a decent sized space. I don't know, let's see, between each post here is 10 feet. So what's that? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? Go back again, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, this is 50 feet long. And I would guess what? At least 12 feet wide. The elephant ears, though, during the summer, like they're eating up half the space. They are huge, but it makes for a nice shaded area. And I have a little walkway here next to the steps that go up to the pool. And then just this little tiny space over here that squares it out. Again, the Malabar spinach just took over. That's what all that is. And I had a Sweet 100, just one plant is what all this dead space is. I'm going to take a step right here and just show you, since we are in South Carolina, some results of Hurricane Helene. We were so blessed. And while we do have 3 huge trees down and our fence is torn down back here, they all fell toward the pond and not toward the house. So we consider that a blessing for sure. Okay, so from below, there's the pool hill garden. That's about everything on the outside. So let's come down to the basement, show you what I have on the inside, a mess. But in this little corner, let me back up. This little corner is where all my seed starting stuff is. So it is in definite need of cleaning out, getting set up. We're already behind. I had intended to start onions, I think, in December. Nope, this is January, and nothing started. So this is going to get me on an accountability kick, I hope, to get this area cleaned up before I make next week's video. How about that? And then the things that I had tried to overwinter, excuse me, this is our basement bathroom, and this is our basement shower. But look, it's not showerable right now because these are all different plants. I've got, what have I got here? stevia I see, and peppers. Oh, I've just got so much stuff crammed in here. Look at this stuff that's still got some peppers hanging on it. I didn't even cut it back. I just put it in the shower so that a couple of times, I think twice, I've watered it. Seems like I brought it in around the beginning of November, maybe, because we had warm weather for a pretty long time. But this is where we are, and that's the mess that I have to deal with. So, turn this back around. Okay, remember that basement shower that was previously full of peppers? Well, I did make some progress. I cleaned up a little bit on this end of the basement and got some peppers and other things moved outside. Now, I did not follow directions, of course. Some things are still so pretty. Look at this. We dug it up from outside, or my son helped me bring everything in. I think this is a Tabasco, and look how pretty it still is, even though it's been sitting in that shower since we brought it in sometime in November, I think. I believe most people on the YouTube had suggested like really cutting everything back drastically, and of course I didn't. Still looking to identify this pepper. Let's see. I left peppers on them because we were in such a hurry just to get everything in before that last freeze. So I'm gonna have to figure out what kind of pepper this is, and then I'll be able to label it. If there was a label in the ground already, I brought it with me, but you can see I haven't really trimmed this one back. Still alive though. This looks like an eggplant leaf, so I think I know what that is. Some of them were labeled. Let's see, what does that one say? Marconi red. Just a little pepper in there. Golden bell pepper here. Cayenne. I usually recognize it. See, I just dropped the peppers in the bottom of the pot and try to work on identification. Now, this was stevia, and it was really a lot bigger and bushier, so I did cut it back quite significantly. What's this say? I see mostly sticks. I'm probably supposed to trim that back much more. This is Marconi red again. Another Marconi red. Look at all the peppers that I had left on it. So I believe I had saw in some videos that to expect maybe a 50% survival rate for things you try to overwinter, peppers you try to overwinter. But I think I'm doing better than that. That's obviously a cayenne back there. And I'll spend some time now. Again, they've been in here since November, and this is January. They've just been sitting in the bottom of that shower, and I believe I watered twice. Again, not quite sure that, well, I don't know. Does that look like a jalapeno? That looks like a jalapeno to me, and it does have a label on one side. Yep, I think that's my one jalapeno. I only had one. Golden Marconi. Now, there were 2 or 3 that I felt like were completely dead. So you can see this stick back here. Pretty sure that's completely dead, but I throw nothing out until I'm absolutely sure. There's my lemongrass. I trimmed it back a bit. I found 2 pots that had eggplants in it, and I trimmed those back quite a bit. Not sure if they will overwinter or not. It's an experiment. We'll see. Here's another something that I felt like is pretty dead, although it kind of has a green tint to some of it. I definitely cannot read the faded out tag. It didn't have anything on it for me to drop at the bottom. So it's just a mess. Tabasco looks like didn't guess, but I got a couple of peppers laying in that one yet. Some more cayenne down here. Pepperoncini peppers, if that's the way you say that. Oh, there's another eggplant. Maybe I got 3 pots with eggplants in them. And some little pots on the bottom. This is just a house plant that was sitting down here. Again, sorry, I'm gonna make you dizzy. This is a basement. I had some more I put over here. So bathroom's cleaned up. Overwintering plants are trimmed back a little, need a lot more probably. And then this will be my next project to get my seed starting station in order. Ooh, look at that mess. And this is a basement, which I'm very thankful for. I've got some supplies for seed starting, and that'll be next on my list. So for accountability purposes, maybe I'll have this all cleaned up and be able to show it to you. And I just stepped back outside just for a moment just to say thank you so much for joining me today, walking with me through my garden. and helping me to become a little more accountable. Maybe I'll make some progress each week. This is my first official week of being retired, and I just want to make some goals for myself. Y'all have a blessed day and a blessed new year. I'm jumping back in real quick just to say thank you for being patient with me. This was my very first time learning to put the video together end to end with just my phone, and I had asked my daughter to talk to me a little bit about that and get something out quickly but easily. So I appreciate you recognizing that I don't have the best skills yet. It'll hopefully get better from week to week. When I put everything together and took a look at the video, there was lots of things that I wanted to change, but then I realized if I don't just go ahead and publish something, nothing gets published. So that's why I have some old clips from 2 years ago. Also, I didn't feel like in this video that I gave enough credit to all the people that helped me. I heard myself saying I and we and blah, blah, blah. And I assure you that short-haired Lynn is a supervisor. She's not doing much of the hands-on work. And so while my children helped me a lot. I heard me mention my sons several times. My daughter also helps me a lot. My daughter-in-law is the one that helps me the most because bless her heart, she doesn't have to, but she babysits me every day. She is the one that stays home with me and helps me to make sure that I'm not falling over and wobbling and having to call somebody. So I appreciate all that they've done for me, and I want to give everybody their appropriate credit. Especially my daughter-in-law. She spends the most time with me, and she was never an outdoors person before. I was so shocked the first time I came home from the hospital and she had been out to harvest some things that were already growing in the garden. I was like, oh my goodness, because she does not like being outside or getting hot and sweaty. But I think she's fallen in love with gardening. So let's see how this goes as the year progresses. Again, be patient with me. I know that my videos are long. I like it that way as I have grown to enjoy YouTube. I don't like having to search for things all the time. And so I'm looking for things that are a little bit longer format. And my daughter was explaining to me that I could then break that down into shorter pieces to make reels. I'll worry about that later. Just help me do one thing at a time. So love you all. Thank you for spending time with me. And I look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye.